You know what it is. You know who it is. This is Rich Warrior Lifestyle Podcast, and I am Trig, the Rich Warrior, and I am here to help you become healthier by the day. And today's topic is 10 key elements to excellent health. Again, 10 key elements to excellent health. Let's get into it. Okay, first of all, what is excellent health? Well, for the past 10 years, I have been free of any and all illnesses and diseases and kept a fit body. And that most of the time when I was, focused on, having a perfect body, and I have pictures, I'll show you guys pictures, but I was able to, sculpt my body in a way that, that I really loved. And I've got to the point where I've been free of any and all illnesses and diseases and sicknesses for the last 10 years. No cold, no flu, no viruses, a significant increase in, moods, energy, and things of that nature. And what I would like to talk about is, definitely the 10 key elements. But first, what is excellent health? And I mentioned those that, my experience, because I do believe I have excellent health. I have high energy. I have, that mental clarity, great skin, great hair. Even my eyesight, I wouldn't say it improved. Well, I would say it slightly improved, but it didn't get worse I would say in the last 7 years, it hasn't gotten worse. It's like a slight improvement, and I haven't even been doing any eye exercises or things like that, but I believe my health and my, the way I live my life. And we're going to talk about the key elements from a holistic, very well-rounded point of view. And excellent health, man. I mean, from mental, emotional, physical, man, let's get into it. Okay, the top 10 key elements. And the first that I have on my list, it's no particular order, but as you, and I'll have a Google document, that I'll put in the link of this, so you can kind of like check off and, audit what you have done or what you need to do and things like that. And like I tell a lot of people, and this is the way I live my life, off of this saying, the person that experiments the most wins. And what that means is you don't know until you actually experimented with it. And what is an experiment? I like how I learned it. An experiment is a short-term, experience from 3 to 6 months. And from that 3 to 6 months of you doing exactly what you've been, you've learned to do or you've been taught to do, and that is not working, then maybe it doesn't work. Maybe you didn't do it properly, or maybe, there's a slight tweak that needs to be done, but basically saying some changes need to be done. Some changes definitely need to be done, because if you keep going forward doing the same things and you're not getting the results that you're looking for, then that becomes failure and what they call insanity. So let's get into it. The first on the list is detoxing. When I first started, I wouldn't say in the beginning stages I did detox, but I was big on, nutrition and things like that. So I believed that I was getting some detox. I was detoxing my body with certain foods that I was eating and the way that I was working out, but definitely detox. And what I mean by detoxing is, natural organic ingredients, that are designed to detox, essentially your full body, from your organs, your kidneys, your even things that you never heard of, like candida, candida cleanse, um, you know, gallbladder, a heavy metal cleanse. It's a lot of cleanses out there. And I use cleanse synonymous, it's a similar word to detox. So I'm gonna stick to detox. So definitely get your detoxing in, because it helps with cravings, bloating. You had that stubborn, belly fat, or you want to flatten that midsection. That definitely helps. It gave me that mental clarity and that energy. So definitely detox. That's one of the first things I would do, because for me, it is kind of like a reset for your body to get it in the best natural, stage it should be in, so that, when you're working out and you're doing other things that I'm gonna list, that I have listed to improve your health, those you'll start to see that those things, work well, because your body is in a stage where it's at a great stage, natural state, where I believe it truly should be, which is, free of toxins, or most toxins and poisons, and, things like that. So definitely detox. The only detox I've taken, which is excellent, and there's a lot out there, but I recommend that you read the ingredients, and read the testimonials, do whatever you need to do to feel confident about what you're about to do, so you're not wasting time and money. But the one that I know that works is by a lady named Anthony Robbins, I believe, but the company is called Renew Herbs. Renew Herbs. I don't get any sponsorship, no anything from that, but in the future we may. But excellent. As a matter of fact, I'll definitely be ordering some soon myself. So definitely get your detox on. You can go to places like Whole Foods, or your local health food stores, where they sell like natural, herbs and things like that. Definitely, check them out, and get your detox on. Number 2 on the list of the 10 key elements of excellent health is eating habits. Definitely eating habits. And, this is something that some of the things on this list in this section I have to remind myself of, which is, slow down and chew your food into small pieces. This is important, because eating too fast, for me, in my experience, it makes me drowsy, and I get a little bit of discomfort in my stomach, because I believe that the pieces of food that I'm allowing to go into my digestive system are too big, which means my body has to work a little harder to digest it, which kind of takes from my energy. That's where we get the itis from, and things like that. So definitely, I'll start from the beginning. One of the main things I do is, my principles are, I don't eat every day. I don't eat for 12 hours, which you would call fasting. So to make it easier on me, and I don't eat solid foods, I'll say that, because I may have some coffee, or I may have some tea or something like that, nothing in some water. But every day, I usually stop eating, which is an important thing. I recommend that you stop eating at 7 p.m. I stop around 5:30, 6 p.m., sometimes even earlier, and I won't eat again until that time the next morning. So if I stop at 6 p.m., I won't eat again until 6 a.m., a lot of times around 7 a.m., 7:30. So I go at least 12 hours without eating every day. Every day, that's what I'm doing. So the next thing is the quality of foods, the quality. So we want to go with natural foods, whole foods, like, vegetables, fruits, things like that, minimal processed foods. And if they are processed, they're processed with something that's, as closest to nature as intended, like one of my, I think it's Simple Meals, they use what is it? I forget exactly what it is, but they use a lot of, foods. They use a lot of other whole foods in different forms to make, their product that they're trying to make. For instance, like pancakes or something like that. They use almond flour, things like that. You want to hear those words, that foods you recognize, and I definitely highly advise you to read the ingredients on everything that you're purchasing. Definitely read the ingredients, because and research it, like, what is this? What is that? So you know for yourself and things like that. But we'll get further into that. And the next thing I have in this section is, okay, eating outside or near an open window with the blinds open. And if it's too hot outside, too cold outside, close the window, but keep the blinds open. And the importance of this is to get that fresh air and that sunlight, especially early in the day. You don't want it when it's beaming on you super hot, but you want to be in the most natural states as possible. We're eating inside air conditioning, it's blowing around dust, and who knows, what particles are in the air. So we want to get that fresh air and that sunlight that's going to energize us, So I touched on chewing your food into small pieces, which I've heard is called super chewing by my brother Yaki. Shout out to Yaki. Definitely slow down, and quantity. So for me, I've learned that I feel so much better when I eat till it's, what are the right words? Till I feel like I'm nowhere near full. Not that I'm starving or, I don't, not that I'm starving or anything like that, but I eat to a point where I'm not full. I'm fulfilled, like, okay, boom, you know what I'm saying? And I'll give demonstrations on this, but we must eat and have just enough. It's better to just eat just enough and come back to it later than just stuffing your mouth and then getting drowsy, and then, it messes with your ability to focus and your physical energy and things like that. So definitely, quantity control is important. But if you're gonna eat big meals, figure out what times are best for you to eat that big meal. A lot of times it'll be best for me to eat my big meal after workouts for sure. So if I work out in the morning, I can eat a bigger meal after that workout, because my body, needs that nutrition, and, and it'll metabolize it better. So definitely after workouts should be your bigger meals. What else do we have? Okay, and this is one that is a game changer. This was a game changer for me, because I got tired of eating the same things, and, it brings excitement and fun to, because nutrition, food is key when you're, obtaining healthy weight and that just overall good health. So I try great recipes, and I'll be recommending, at least one a week, maybe two. And I have a segment called Trig's Kitchen, and I'll be showing you guys exactly how I cook these foods, exactly how I find them, how I cook them, how I prep them. And, I prep my foods for the week. So, I do my meal prep. Every time I cook is for 3 days. So I meal prep for the first 3 days, cook again, meal prep for the next 3 days, and I fast on the seventh day for 24 hours. I may have coffee, I may have tea and things like that. And I'll talk about that later in the fasting part. But that may be just enough. And another thing that I've learned that was a game changer for me with food is consuming mostly fruits. Any and every chance I get to add fruit to my food, to my meals, besides my daily smoothie and having fruit with my breakfast and things like that. If I can add them at lunch and dinner, I will, because it's something about fruit that, energizes me, helps the digestive process, it's just more smooth for me, and it's just like, it's like a clean, more of a clean feeling after eating fruit versus, like grains and things of that nature. So definitely, man, eating habits have to change. Next on the list, third on the list is exercising. One of the most important things is walking. Definitely walking. I advise people to walk at least an hour a day, and it doesn't have to be an hour in a row. What I like to do is I like to walk maybe like, after I eat, say for instance, eat breakfast, I might, just relax for 30 minutes and then I'll go for a 20-minute, 30-minute walk and do that for each time that I eat. That's another, hack to digest your food a little bit better. It's a major improvement in digesting your food, definitely. So, okay, definitely, it's optional, but I recommend it. Long distance running. I like to run about 4 to 5 miles and doing push-ups in between, but you could do 1 mile every other day or once a week or, twice a week or something like that, but definitely get out there and sweat. The key is to sweat. The key is to sweat because you're getting rid of those toxins through your pores and things like that. So definitely another exercise I love to do is sprints. I love my sprints, man. For me, helps me sculpt the body and keep the body strong and looking strong and feeling strong. And I do my push-ups in between as well. I like to add a full body effect to each workout, so when you're sprinting, it's more of a full body thing, but it's kind of an add-on to throw those push-ups in there, it makes it a little tougher, and then you start to see them results faster. You're just pushing it. And, I like to stick to the basics with exercises, man. Walking, running, push-ups, sit-ups, ab workouts that don't hurt your neck or your lower back, squats. And when exercising, we always want to keep in mind that the form is more important than the number of reps. So you want to make sure you start off doing the form properly. And as you do the form properly, you'll notice that you'll get stronger because you are actually working the muscles that you need to work to be able to get stronger. And then you'll be able to do more reps and push outside of your comfort zone, and definitely push just outside of your comfort zone. That's where you start sweating. That's where you start to, feeling a little bit fatigued, but just push as much as you can, even push till you have to stop sometimes. And sometimes you just want to be just outside of it so you can keep going and keep going. And even if you stop, come back and jump back in, but don't stop too long. So another thing with exercising that I found that's very helpful and it saves me a lot of time in my day is I integrate personal and work tasks, meaning that if I can listen to an audiobook, podcast, even if it's entertainment, you listen to some music, or you're on the phone with somebody, or anything you can integrate, learn something, listen to something joyful, whether it's comedy or something interesting while you're out there exercising, while you're in the house exercising and things like that. Number 4 on the list is fasting. Like I said, every day I go 12 hours without eating, and every week I do a 24-hour fast. And both of those times, you can't have water, you can't have tea, and I like coffee because coffee for me is like an appetite suppressant. I won't have much of it, I'll make me like a 12 ounce and just take a couple sips. I'm good, I don't drink the whole thing. So definitely 5 on the list is very important. And I didn't know how important this was until last year, man. I really didn't, because I'm just like a willpower type of guy. I'm a willpower type of guy, and I'm just switching up my focus and my process and the way I do things. I'm more relaxed in how I do things. I let things come to me. So, but definitely sleep, man. Definitely get you some great sleep, man. For me, I'm gonna get at least 7. Closer to the 8. But before then, I was getting 4, 5, 6, and not even deep sleep, And I did some research, and these are some things that can help you, to start to get some real good quality sleep, what they call REM sleep, that deep sleep stage to where you wake up, you feel refreshed. You know what I mean? I wake up 3 a.m, and I literally just jump out the bed, hype, dancing, singing, I'm energized. So yeah, like these are the things that I researched and experimented with that worked for me, and you should definitely try it. Why? Because the person that experiments the most wins. Let's go. All right, so prepare for bedtime an hour before, meaning if you're not in that room, cut off all of the lights. And if you are in a room, you can have a light on, make sure it's kind of like dimmest. The dimmest it could be to perform whatever task you're doing, whether you're reading or whatever you're doing, so temperature is very important. Have the temperature right where you're, even in the entire house, but mostly where you're going to sleep at, where it's comfortable for you. You're not going to get too hot or too cold, okay? I would stop eating and drinking liquids at least 2 hours before bedtime because, it's evident you don't want to be rushing to the bathroom or going to the bathroom, disrupting your sleep. And caffeine, this is major for me that I've learned and experiment with. If you have caffeine, make sure you have your caffeine 12 hours before your bedtime. So if your bedtime is at 9 p.m., you want to have it, the last sip of coffee at 9 a.m. That's very important. You don't have to be too anal, but definitely around the 12-hour mark. And alcohol is similar, but I don't know who's drinking in the morning. So alcohol, you can kind of expect not to get that deep sleep. But I mean, that's not a guarantee, but just take it easy on the alcohol, Take it easy because you want to get into that deep sleeps, that deep sleep, those cycles of sleep, you want to get into the deep sleep. Okay, sunlight. During the day, you want to get as much sunlight to build up that, I believe it's melatonin that you're building up that helps you rest at night. But I've actually done it. So I've noticed that when I, doing all of these things, especially going outside, when it gets dark outside, I kind of like have my home lit or dark like it is outside. I follow that. I have my windows open during the daytime. When it's dark, I can close them. And, I got all the lights off in every room except the room I'm in. And that light is not that bright. So I'm kind of mimicking nature and it helps me. I'm out. I am out. And for years, I've had trouble getting deep sleep because I didn't know what deep sleep was until now. So yeah, man. And definitely, man, meditation is great, before bedtime, and practice gratitude and thankfulness. Find something. Number 6 on the list is environmental changes. Definitely, man, you want to, environment is definitely important, especially in your home. And these are some things that I would, recommend you doing. Air purifiers, water filters on the shower head and in your kitchen. Using non-toxic cleaning agents. I like to use baking soda, vinegar, lemon juice, things like that, olive oil if I'm mopping the floor. Just Google some things and use things that are as least toxic as possible, but you want to go, as natural as possible. That's how I want to say that, as natural as possible, for sure. So another thing, grounding, going outside, walking in the grass, around your home, where the area is safe to, take off your socks and your shoes and get you a little grounding there. It definitely, for me, it's like it feels like healing to me, like in a way of like, it increases my mood. One time I was nauseous and I heard somebody say, grounding helps with stuff like that. Definitely help. Definitely. These are things that I do. These 10 key elements to excellent health are things that I do for sure. And like grounding, I don't even do grounding every day. Grounding is one of them things, it's like one of those things I use when I really need it or something like that. But okay, environmental changes. Let's see. Okay. Pictures of body types that are similar to yours that you admire and would want to look like if you were in your best shape. For me, I definitely did this. I used to get the magazines or look online, And it just gave me that picture in my head, like, all right, this is what I'm working towards, you know what I mean? So it's like, they could do it, I could do it. They could do it, I could do it. And that just motivated me. You know what I'm saying? Get rid of the jealousy and the hate. If they did it, you could do it, man. You could do it. And I did it natural, no supplements, no nothing. And I didn't even eat perfect all the time. I didn't do all of this stuff perfect. But at this, like on my journey, but at this point, I have a great routine. You know what I'm saying? This is why the podcast is called Rich Warrior Lifestyle, because this is a lifestyle. It's supposed to be, simple, efficient, fun, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, definitely. 7th on the list is mindset, man. Definitely have your mind set that I'm going to do this. I'm not going to give up. It's not going to be easy all the time. It's not going to be hard all the time. And I'm going to make this fun. So you want to talk to yourself positively, positive self-talks, positive self-image. And I do some strenuous workouts like HIIT. Like it's called high intensity interval training. And when I'm doing these exercises, I notice if I'm smiling, and if I'm super tired and I start to smile or think about something positive, I could give a little more. You know what I'm saying? It's that mindset. You know what I mean? Like have your mind set, or even when you start, have your mind set and, give it your all, whatever you're doing, so. What else? Okay. So the next thing is, the 8th thing on the list is laugh and smile as much as possible. This is key to that mental and emotional health. One thing I noticed about me that really significantly, even before I even knew about this stuff, like I definitely laughed a lot. We joked a lot. I love comedy. You know what I'm saying? For me, I like to go to a comedy show at least once a month. But I'm always watching comedy on my phone. If I'm not learning, if I'm not doing this, I'm watching comedy for the most part, you know what I'm saying? Outside of listening to music here and there, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, comedy for sure. And sometimes, and with smiling, smile at people and let them know that like, yo, I'm a good person. I'm not trying to prove it to you, but I'm a pleasant person. I don't, I want you to feel welcome around me. Like just smile at people. Smile right now. Just smile. You know what I mean? Just smile. So definitely stand-up comedy. Think about good memories, movies, shows, write jokes. Be around that family or that friend or that coworker that make you laugh, and tell them, man, thank you. Thank them for the joy that they bring you and things like that. You're giving back to them. So number 10 on the list is space repetition. This is a hack. This is a hack which is learning anything. Space repetition, and it's simple, but you just got to stick to it. And that's why it's called space repetition. Space repetition is doing a little bit consistently every day. So when you get this list, I'm gonna have it in a Google, on a Google Doc. Just make sure, check off on it. Check, I did this today, or I'm about to do this, I'm about to do that. You know what I'm saying? A little bit every day, because health should be from a holistic, whole perspective, not just working out, not just eating good, not just living, grounding and things like that. No, we're going to gradually have all of this stuff in place. We're going to gradually put and have all of this stuff in place. And number 10 on the list, last but not least, is know your objectives and be aware. And what I mean by know your objective is, what do you want out of this right now? And it could switch, it could change and stuff like that. What do you want out of becoming healthy? Like how could this improve your life? How are you going to look? How are you going to feel? How are you going to think? And the awareness side is, where am I at right now? You can document this, write this down. Where am I at right now? And where do I want to be? Where do I want to be? Doing that little bit every day, space repetition, and know where you're at and know where you want to be. Get around supportive people, positive self-talks, positive self-image, man. And those are the 10 key essential elements to excellent health. You know who it is. You know what it is. I am Trig, the Rich Warrior, and this is Rich Warrior Lifestyle. Man, tell me how you feel about this episode. 1 to 10, 1 trash, 10 excellent. Let me know what you want me to talk about, what you need help with, anything that's on your mind. Like, subscribe, share. I love you. Love yourself. All of this is rooted in self-love. Let's go.